Good morning, friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop, and I'm all spoofed up here this morning. Had a little trouble getting a video out this week. They always say be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. Well, I've been kind of wishing for a little bit more business, and it came in droves over the last 2 weeks. I just got all kinds of instruments in here. I also convert old tapes and reel-to-reel tapes and cassette tapes and old music to CDs and things like that, or MP3s, whatever you want. But anyway, that all came in droves too. Not to mention recording studio work, which is downstairs. There's been several people in the recording studio, and just been crazy busy this week. So haven't had a time to think. But the reason I'm all spiffed up is because everybody's been asking me about how Thomas liked his mandolin. I've gotten a few comments, plus some phone calls and different people that I've talked to over the last couple of weeks. They said, how did Thomas like his mandolin? And I said, well, I think he likes it pretty well. Well, this is to show you how well he likes it. He sent me this shirt. I thought that was really nice of him. Boy, it's a very nice shirt. I just got it out of the box. It's still got the tags on it. And I thought I would wear it here on the video this morning. This video is basically just going to be an update on, a couple of weeks ago I put out an update video of status projects. So we're going to give you a little bit of status on that. You'll see later in this video I'll attach a clip of the completed violin, that Amati violin that I restored. Man, did it turn out nice, at least in my opinion, and it really sounds good. And I'm just sure he's going to be very happy. As you recall, he brought that violin all the way from Germany back in the 50s, and so he had loaned it out to someone and they had just destroyed it, basically. And so we put her all back together, fixed her all up, made her look real nice. In addition, mandolins, talking about the Thomas mandolin, and I would encourage you to read Thomas's comments on the video, the latest video that I put out on the Thomas mandolin. He attached his own comments, and that way you can see it in his own words. I'm pretty sure he's real happy with the mandolin, and I'm very glad of that, of course. And I thank you, Thomas, for this shirt. It fits great. It's just perfect. It's almost like it was tailor-made. Much more expensive shirt than I would buy for myself, I have to admit. So I really do thank you. Regarding the next mandolin that I'm building, I guess we could call this the St. Louis mandolin, because this one's going to St. Louis. I just thought I'd show you the status of it. The camera, I can tell, is washing out because it's so white. I don't know if you can see it very well, but at least in my viewfinder it's washing out really bad. So I don't know how well you can see it, but it's got a spruce top, of course. I've got everything ready to go except for the fretboard and the inlay and the binding up around the peg head. The back obviously has got the rose carved in it and the binding on it too. So everything's really physically done. I just have to attach the fretboard, which I already have made, and do the binding. So I can't really attach the fretboard until I do the binding and all that, because the little router I use will get in the way of, or the fretboard will get in the way of that base of the router. So I'll wait and put this on very last. But I think next week I should probably be ready to stain this. I got all kinds of other instruments in the shop. As a matter of fact, I've got one here that I haven't even taken out of the box yet. It was shipped, I believe, from West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. I'll get it and show you what we got. This was at the bottom of the pile of peanuts. So let's see what we've got. I haven't looked at it yet myself. Oh, okay, it's a lower. It's not a Lloyd lower, it's just the lower if you look up here at the top. And I believe it's here for a setup. And I just, thought maybe you'd like to see my first impressions of what I look for when I'm looking at a setup on an instrument. And the first thing that I notice, almost immediately, is that the strings are offset here. The E string is over here to the edge of the fretboard, and the G string's got quite a gap, so it's not centered. It's also probably not centered here. You can see it on here just a little bit tighter here than it is here, so that would make that straighter. But that's just a minor thing. But anyway, that's the first thing I notice. I noticed that the bridge, and this does happen from time to time, the bridge is canted this way on the treble side. Generally, they're canted this way. It looks odd. It may be right, but it looks odd. The action is very high, very high. The G strings would be very difficult to note at the first fret. The other ones are high, but they're not as high. Maybe the E is. The E is pretty high. So we'll definitely make some major improvements on this one. And I can look and see how much underbow is in the neck. And this one has a hair more than it probably needs. I also received several other instruments. A banjo that we need to put a new neck on. We may have a video on that coming down the road. And we also have a Martin guitar that was sent to a reputable repair shop years ago, and they did the dreaded drill the hole through the bridge thing and put bolts in it, which I'm definitely not a fan of that, and I wouldn't have done it. Had they sent it to me, I would have fixed it differently, and I believe it would still be fixed. Where it is, they fixed it with the bolt thing, and obviously the bridge is pulled loose again, so we'll have to fix that. And you'll see that coming down the road too. And right now, stay tuned for the fiddle video, and you'll see how I repaired that Amati and restored it. And I thank you for watching. We really do appreciate all the new subscribers, and tell your friends about the channel. And if you need work done, or if you need tapes or old real vinyl tapes or vinyl albums converted over to CDs, that's another thing that I can do for you. So enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for watching. I've been stripping the finish off of this Amati Copy Violin for about 40 minutes or something like that, I would guess. And I'm basically just taking a scraper and scraping it off. And for people who think that's a crude way to do it, from a master violin maker who really works on the high-end violins, he never touches them with sandpaper. He only uses a scraper on them. So, scraping the finish off is perfectly acceptable if you know what you're doing. Another little update on the fiddle. It's still pretty rough. You can see all kinds of scraping marks in it and stuff. Those aren't gouges or anything. That literally is still just in the finish and stuff. I've got the old fiddle all stripped down, and I've decided to go ahead and just sand the outside of it for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of little dings in it and stuff, and I'm not going to try to get every single little ding out of it, which I could do if I was using a scraper. I don't want to thin the wood out anymore. This fiddle feels really light anyway, so I don't want to remove too much wood. Also, the sandpaper actually helps blend this old stainy color back into the pores and stuff to kind of give it a more even color. When I'm scraping it, it's coming out splotchy, so I wanted to use the sandpaper to level out the color and everything, and it seems to be working. Thought I'd show you a close-up of the damage that they did to the area up here. You can see that apparently the tang must have broke off of the back, and they filled it in with some kind of glue or something. They also drilled and put a pin in it right there, 2 pins in it right here, which all of that is unnecessary. That could have all been fixed really nice. I used my little tiny microscope to clean out this little hole. I just literally, I don't know if that'll work. I've never tried this before, but you can see, yeah, it does work. You can see how it magnifies that greatly. Here you can see the rough piece of wood that I've glued into that little spot. Okay, it's not perfect, but it looks a whole lot better than the putty that was in there. Okay, on this repair you can see a piece of the little black, white, black purfling is also missing. I have cut a real tiny piece of that. I doubt the camera's going to focus on that. I can't even, it's so tiny. And I'll be putting that in there first, and then I'll put a block of wood in. Okay, I got the little tiny piece of purfling glued back in there, and now I'll fill in this piece with some wood. I think you can see the total repair. There's the black, white, black purfling and the little patch of wood I put in there, and it matches pretty good. Color wise, obviously there's a little problem, but it matches grain wise and everything matches really good. Okay, I have the neck joint cleaned out there pretty good. You can see the black, white, black purfling is missing again. Hopefully you can. Okay, once again I've got the black, white, black purfling inlaid in there. Now there's just a little hole between the heel and the purfling that I have to fill. You can see that I've got a piece that fits in there. I don't actually have it glued in yet. I just have the little piece sitting there. You can see there's a hole there now, and then I can set that in there carefully, and it fits down in there pretty good. I can force it the rest of the way, I think, once I put the glue in there. Well, I wouldn't call it absolutely perfect or anything, but it sure does look a lot better than all that filler that was in there. There's one more thing that's bothered me. They put some filler in right here where this is chipped off, so I'm going to straighten that off and just glue a new piece of wood on there and shape it. Okay, I think you can see here that I have flattened it off right across there. Okay, here's what that little piece of wood looks like. Well, it looks pretty good. It's not perfect again, but you know, we're working on a very tight budget. I'm trying to do them as fast and as quick and efficient as I can do them. Kind of getting ahead of myself here, forgetting to film some of this. I got her sanded off pretty darn good, and decided to go ahead and put my base coat of spirit varnish on here, which is basically an alcohol-based varnish. It's shellac, and I'm using an amber color. I've just put a third coat of shellac on the old fiddle here. It's starting to look really pretty. Well, we've just about got the Amati Copy Violin all back together. You can see I've completely revarnished the whole instrument. I patched all kinds of places. A lot of them you can see. There's a little tiny patch right there. There's little patches right against the neck that you can't really see that are filled in. Here I actually patched in a piece and had to patch in the purfling too. On the back, of course, I did the same thing. I patched in this piece that was missing in here, plus the purfling. I'll warn you ahead of time, I'm not a violin player. I just know how to play enough so that I can test the sound and see if I've got the setup correct. So here we go. Well, it's got a very nice sound, I think. Keep in mind it's brand new varnish. The varnish isn't what I would consider hard yet. It's going to take it seriously a year before it gets hard. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a little better violin than this one for the money. I mean, I don't know what he would sell it for if he was going to sell it, but I get the impression he doesn't know much about them. It's just a sentimental thing. He brought it over from Germany years and years and years ago. He just wants to keep it in the family. I think he's going to give it to his granddaughter. But at least now it's in nice shape and he can give it to his granddaughter and be proud about it again. Hope you've enjoyed this little segment. Thank you for watching.